G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Lewis gun, not to be confused with an assault rifle. The Lewis gun is actually an American-designed weapon, designed in 1911 by one Lewis, would you believe, but never really saw the light of day in America thanks to politics and other petty drama that we won't get into. So what Lewis did is a proactive man. He jumped the pond, as the British would say, set up shop in Europe, around Belgium, and worked with the British to get this thing into production just in time for the First World War. Now, that raises questions because obviously it's a British-made weapon because it's a weapon from Fallout 4 London mod. It's just another weapon for that particular thing, but it's an American-designed weapon, so whoops. Also, this thing is chambered in 45 when I believe it should be filled up with the British 303 rounds, which, where you store them, they're actually in this giant pan up the top of this thing. And as you fire, because the bullets have the ends of them away from the center of that pan, it'll actually rotate around as you fire it, which is absolutely brilliant. I've got no idea how they managed to accomplish that, but that's some immersion levels that we ain't seeing from weapon mods these days. So hats off to you for that. But we've got problems. Big number problems. We're only getting 39 damage out of this thing with the standard receiver, which is problematic. We probably won't be going against the immersive gunners Plaza today, but presentation-wise, I'd like to say this thing is great, but numbers-wise, we could use a little bit of a tune-up here and there. Let's get into the attachments first of all before we compare this thing to any of the vanilla guns in the game. So right now we've got a standard receiver. The strongest receiver you can get out of this would be the powerful receiver. Hardened piercing receiver might be a good option. You only lose a little bit of damage, but you get to penetrate some armor as you go along as well. So potentially against a heavily armored target, you might be a little bit better off. Plus you get 2 extra range out of it, which is basically nothing. Next up, the barrels. This is where it gets a little bit interesting because you can have a lightened barrel, it'll reduce your range and accuracy, and also make the recoil bad because it's lighter and the recoil of the weapon will be pushing it around a little bit more. Heavy barrel, interesting, will increase your range and improve your recoil control and also increase your accuracy, but it gets more interesting down here. This is the incendiary propellant, which is broken because that range is in the negatives now, effectively meaning infinite range, but it'll add some pipes and tubing into the jacket of your Lewis gun here, and that'll just turn the bullets incendiary for some reason. That's a whole air-cooled thing right there. They draw the heat from the barrel out as it's firing. I won't get into the actual science of the weapon, but unlike the Vickers machine gun, this thing wasn't water-cooled. This is a proper air-cooled system here, so that would help in reducing the weight of the thing. The heavy incendiary propellant is actually going to increase your range and accuracy and give you an acceptable amount of range rather than in the negatives. Although I must be said that 119 range is really not that much. We'll attach this one on for now, but you've also got a kinetic refraction converter, which gives you, instead of the Skyrim flame damage, it'll give you energy damage, which is significantly worse because normally enemies aren't coded to resist that damage in any way, and they're coded to, well, the coding's broken for the energy damage, but that'll just make you do less damage. Plus, if you choose the plasma ones, which does add a cool backwards plasma gun to the side of this, it'll turn your projectiles from a bullet, which is hit scan, into a plasma blob, which is not hit scan, so good luck hitting anything at range. Obviously not the problem with a laser there. Also, that actually reduces the weight by quite a bit, so if your character is lacking in strength, either go to the gym or make that a laser barrel there. You can have a carry handle or no carry handle, and depending on which you choose here, it'll actually change the animations. I'll show off both of these, but for now, we'll leave this on 0 carry handle. And you can have a light pan, which will increase your speed of reloading, which is helpful. You can also get muzzles, compensators, or muzzle brakes if you feel like the recoil is too much, but that's going to reduce range, not by much, but enough to make me go away from that. Plus, we can control the recoil just fine by ourselves. Famous last words, right? Worth mentioning that if you choose the energy barrels, both the laser and the plasma, you will lose the muzzle slot because obviously the muzzle brake isn't going to work on a laser barrel now, is it? Legendary effect is there if you need it as well, but we will not. And 48 and 30, which the 30 is like an extra freebie, but if we go over to the assault rifle firing 5.56s. Yeah, this thing fires 45 rounds. I don't think I mentioned that yet. That's perplexing. It probably should fire 308 caliber rounds because that's close to the, I guess, the 303 British rounds. It's a lot closer than the 45 Colt things that we're firing out of this thing right now. So there's that. And yeah, in terms of damage comparison, a powerful auto assault rifle will do more damage, and we're almost edging it out with a vanilla game pipe gun. Keep in mind, this thing probably has a higher DPS due to a higher rate of fire. It's also got a suppressor on it too, so you can use it for stealthy operations to get a 4.4 times multiplier on what you see here. So yeah, it's a little bit weak, and we're going to be suffering. So we probably won't take this into any zones where there's too much enemies shooting at me, because it just won't last. But we'll see how we go. Okay, let's talk about getting the Lewis gun in-game. There's one place where it drops. Here we are inside of Fort Strong, and this is the entrance room right here. All you need to do is go this way to your right, and then into this room right here. This one probably has a novice lock. That's what it was locked for me. But you'll find the Lewis gun on the wall right there. And there's an inspection animation, just in case you didn't look at the textures properly. And a picking up animation too. Wow. I was not expecting that. This is awesome. A lot of time would have went into that, and I appreciate it. And look, even the little carry handle thing, and you can craft it now as well. So actually, I lied. There's more ways to get this than just going here, but just by staring at it, you can craft it on a workbench. So there we go. We can make some more Lewis guns if we want. So on your chemistry workbench, you'll find a sub-menu called Lewis gun. It's in all caps, so I gotta scream it at ya. And for these materials, you can make your own Lewis guns, just like that. No perk requirements whatsoever, but it's a pretty high level-ish zone getting into Fort Strong, especially if you're doing Show No Mercy. You gotta go through a behemoth. The game helps you, but you know, there's some pretty tough dudes going around there, so I guess that's your level sort of gate cap. It's the thing that stops you from getting it too early. Alright, so here we are inside of Gunner's Plaza. Not immersive today because I don't think I have the strength in this weapon to take on like 40 gunners, but this is a Lewis gun in first person. It's got some sights, you can aim down it, and in third person, it looks like that. This is the standard sort of rifle grip setup there. Looks pretty cool. If you go over to the carry handle, that's what it looks like in first person. And when you aim down sights, you don't get really any reference of where you're actually aiming, except for right above Winter's knuckle there on the pointing finger. That's what our iron sights are these days. In third person, the animation set actually looks really cool too. I think it looks a lot better in third person. Also worth mentioning that it works in power armor as well. There's some dedicated power armor animations along with this as well, which is good stuff. Let's get started with some shooting, and then we can discuss what I think about this weapon. So first of all, the gun's firing. The recoil is a little bit much, but I didn't do very well to hold onto the target there. The sounds of this thing, it kind of sounds nice and meaty and slow, but the recoil animations, I don't think they sync up properly, and it's going to be hard to target when aiming down sights at point blank range. So we'll shoot that gunner in hip fire, and then yeah, this thing, the iron sights do rattle around a little bit, and it looks like it's slightly out of sync because I fall down there. We'll have to catch up with them later, but it looks like if you watch just the magazine, which is rotating as the weapon is being fired brilliantly, the magazine appears to be normal in its recoil sort of animations, I suppose. 47 rounds is, I don't think that's what these things had. Not really sure, actually, what the actual capacity of these things were. You could probably stuff a lot more 45s in here than 47, that's for sure. Especially considering how the drum mags were holding them in the Second World War for the Tommy guns. But yeah, it's not a particularly impressively powerful weapon, I think. And I think that gun is going to heal off all of that wonderful damage that I did. This one has, instead of the rapid receiver, this one's got the incendiary rounds, which give you a much needed amount of power. And we could go ahead and use this thing in bats a little bit, and we may as well, right? That was only the one shot there. There's a reload animation in third person, by the way. Go for another critical here. Wow, I'm actually very underwhelmed with the critical damage we're getting on this. Perhaps they're slightly out of range, but we'll keep the carry handle one going for the moment because I'm liking this damage oh so much better. We might even get a little bit of a nerd rage moment here if we want. We'll aim down sights, use our very precision technique of just eyeballing your end of your fist for aiming. That seems about right. Now, let's target this guy in VATS a little bit. Lightning fast bursts in VATS. Interesting how that all works, but I'm worried about the person running into the corner of that room and grabbing the grenade launcher that's there. In fact, I'm going to preemptively grab this thing just in case you bastards get any ideas. And, okay, so here's another thing about the syncing of the animations. If you watch the numbers and listen to the thing firing, we're firing a lot faster if we aim this thing in third person, which might be a little bit of a reference to, I suppose, the Gatling laser in this game. Sometimes if you squat down low using the charging barrel and someone there has got an explosive weapon, it is in fact you. I'm actually wondering to see what that is. Is that I think it's a radium rifle? Is it? Is it? It's an explosive. It is an explosive radium rifle. I probably could have guessed that from the little bit of rads on my health bar there. But time for a little bit of VATS usage, I think. When in doubt, gun fu and VATS. 1, 2, and we'll try to pick up the other one. Never mind, we won't get that one. We'll get a little bit of gun fu on that second dude. I was hoping to get that third target. Probably could have buried that gunner with one more burst. But we've used these criticals. We're making sure we're throwing everything we have at these enemies, apart from like bullets, chems, and other slowdown implements. Anyways, here's the reload animation in third person for normal rifle grip form. Very good. The animations, like I said before, the presentation of this thing is brilliant. And I just crashed, but I think you get the idea. Alright, let's try this again. We'll take it from the top, but this time I have the explosive legendary effect. Ah, yes, that's much better. That's the stuff. So we'll be using this just to clear things out nice and quickly, just so we can utilize this thing without being frustrated by its lack of power and the only thing I can comment on. But yeah, so far the lineup for Fallout London weapons has been a little bit all over the place. Some of them are like extremely powerful. Like I tested the Martini Henry last time, which had that cool texture zoom in scope thingy, and that was able just to one-shot everything super easy, like, which maybe is like, it's not even balanced even for a one-shot weapon, because you could do it from so far away so consistently that it made the game very easy. So yeah, perhaps they'll be getting a little bit of a balance pass leading into the actual release of that particular mod, which I'm guessing will be, the modders are diligent enough to do that. I won't offer any commentary or suggestions on where to go with that, but for now, this thing I think could use a little bit of a tune-up. And ooh. Uh-oh, they've grabbed the grenade launcher. Okay, we have to VATS here. We have to get this thing in VATS, and we have to crit right now. There we go. Okay, good. If you thought the Gustav was bad, we got ragdolled by a grenade launcher, and she decided not to fire that second shot, which was, I guess, that's some pretty good luck there, because we could have got thrown across the room until they finished me. Sometimes it takes so long to get up, they're able to switch magazines, or cylinders, I suppose, before they're finished. But this will probably be the last reload. We'll make sure it's a good one. And I believe after this turret, we are all finished here in the Gunner's Plaza. Hang on, I didn't shoot this turret from across the other side of the room. We'll fix that. Alrighty, so that there was the Lewis gun, and I think I'm going to leave things there because I don't think it's got the power, unless I throw on the Furious legendary effect to take on a monster. You know what? I've already come this far with the explosive legendary effect. Let's just make it angry, and we'll slay a monster real quick. Alright, the mighty swan will be fallen today by a particularly furious light machine gun, Lewis gun, something like that. And just as a proof of concept, yep, that's totally working. Now, I think Swan's going over there and is chasing some deer around or something. Something over there. We'll try to grab his attention, and if we happen to miss a shot, we'll have to restart the stacking, which is not super fun. But as he's distracted over there, we'll get started on him, and we'll see what kind of damage we can pull up. We're getting into the 120s. That's hit 200 now, or maybe just. And we'll throw some criticals in this, why not? We'll get that reload happening in third person. There we go. Starting to get some good work now. Now, the rest of these shots should be guaranteed hits. Very good. Okay. Effective use of all the criticals there. He's hit the mutation. And now, we just back off and pepper him full of bullets until he dies. Taste the power of the British Empire. Not everything British can be made perfect, but some things can be. Just look at Lily Allen. Alright, so that's about it for the Lewis gun. It was fun messing around with the legendary effects, but I do think this thing needs a little bit of tune-up in terms of damage, and rechambering it to a 308 round would be a little bit more appropriate than I think a 45 round would be. And it's kind of interesting that decision, maybe that was just something they didn't really think about. Whatever vanilla weapon form they copied over must have been chambered in the 308, not 308, the 45s already. They're just maybe a little bit of an oversight. But I did notice there was a few people suggesting the ammo changeover on the Nexus page, and there was a couple of people talking about damage as well. So I know that I'm not alone on this, and there's not a lot I could add onto the end of this, other than, core blimey, governor, could you buff the thing in it? And on that note, thanks for watching. See ya. Also, links in the description if you want to get this thing in your game. And there's also a Winter Companion mod. She's the best companion going around. She doesn't talk all the time.